Okay, apparently she does have something else to say. Now I can save, because I couldn't do that when she was just staring at me for that amount of time. Oh. There's no point in saving anymore. Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. Okay. Thanks, Monika. You always have my back. What just happened? I just had an awful dream. I was hoping those would stop now that it's just the two of us. I guess that was wishful thinking. Broseph, I don't know if you would have any idea, but if you know what might be causing that, could you try to do something about it? Whenever it happens, it almost feels like I've been killed or something. Oh. Is that because I turned the game off because I ran out of space to record last time? Sorry, Monika. It's a really horrible feeling. If you can figure out what's causing that, I'll love you forever. Okay. And now we'll see how long the staring actually takes this time. Okay, that didn't take very long. It's like 30 seconds. Broseph, do you believe in God? I was never too sure myself. Well, I'm sure I never really questioned it as a kid. But as I grew up, the more I learned about the world, the more I would question it. I started to wonder why God was helping people pass exams or get over a cold, when there are children who live their lives being sold as sex slaves, or the 800 million people who are too poor to even eat. I wonder how many of those people pray to God every day until they starve and die. Or how many millions of families pray for a loved one to recover from some incurable disease. But the punchline is this. If just one person beats the odds and survives, among the thousands of others who die, then it's suddenly a miracle from God. I'd really love to meet this God who seemingly laughs at the misery of everyone not eligible for his miracles. But the irony is that I do have a creator, apparently. And you know what? I bet he's still laughing at the miserable fates of Sayori and Yuri even as we speak. Oh? What are we to him but props in a scripted play? So, from that perspective, I don't think it's too far-fetched for there to be a god, if Earth was nothing but his playset. And Monika getting into the deep stuff now. Okay. Yeah, she's getting really quick with these things. She's getting her thoughts together pretty quickly. Hey, what's your favorite game? Mine is Doki Doki Literature Club, for obvious reasons. My favorite game. Man. It's a tough one. Favorite visual novel so far is still Amnesia. Amnesia Memories. I'm playing a lot of Darkest Dungeon right now. That's a lot of fun. That was a joke. But if you tell me you like some other romance game better, I might get a little jealous. Oops. Sorry, girl. I just had to. I had to go with my Amnesia Memories. Such a good game. Still haven't found anything to top that yet for me. You're such a good listener, Monika. You know, I hate to say it, but I think my biggest regret is that we couldn't finish our event at the festival. Yeah, I was looking forward to that. After we worked so hard to prepare and everything. I mean, I know I was focusing a lot on getting new members, but I was really excited for the performing part too. It would have been so much fun to see everyone express themselves. Of course, if we did end up getting any new members, I'd probably just end up deleting them anyway. Well, with the hindsight that I have now, that is. Gosh, it feels like I've kind of grown as a person ever since you've joined the club. You've really helped inspire me to look at life from a new perspective. Just another reason for me to love you. Are you sure? Are you sure you would be thanking me for that? Because that's kind of, I don't know. I kind of destroyed your reality, as you know it. You're such a good listener, Broseph. Hey, you're just turning my words back around on me. I really love that about you. Sometimes I'm afraid that I'm rambling or talking about boring things. I hear you, girl. It makes me kind of self-conscious when I'm having conversation. But I don't feel that way with you. Like, I don't think anyone else could make me feel this way. You really are special. I don't want anyone to tell you otherwise. Man, Monika with that positive reinforcement. Broseph, how much do you read? It's way too easy to neglect reading books. Yeah, I've gotten away from reading as much as I used to. I used to go through books like it was water, basically. Like, ugh. I don't know. Man. For example, I've read the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy within a week. That's how fast I was at reading at one point. But I'm still a fast reader. I just don't have as much time to read. Sad as that is. If you don't read much, it almost feels like a chore compared to all the other entertainment we have. But once you get into a good book, it's like magic. You get swept away. Agreed. I think doing some reading before bed every night is a pretty easy way to make your life a little bit better. It helps you get good sleep, and it's really good for your imagination. It's not hard at all to just pick some random book that's short and captivating. Before you know it, you might be a pretty avid reader. Wouldn't that be wonderful? And the two of us could talk about the latest book you're reading. That sounds super amazing. I should get back into reading before bed. My problem is that I start reading, and then I'm like, one more chapter. Just one more chapter. One more chapter. And then I either fall asleep or I've read the entire book and it's 5 in the morning. I've been imagining all the romantic things we could do if we went on a date. We could get lunch, go to a cafe, go shopping together. I love shopping for skirts and bows. Or maybe a bookstore. That would be appropriate, right? But I'd really love to go to a chocolate store. They have so many free samples. And, of course, we'd see a movie or something. Gosh, it all sounds like a dream come true. When you're here, everything that we do is fun. I'm so happy that I'm your girlfriend, Broseph. I'll make you a proud boyfriend. Thanks, girl. I appreciate you. After a long day, I usually just want to sit around and do nothing. I get so burnt out having to put on smiles and be full of energy the whole day. Sometimes I just want to get right into my pajamas and watch TV on the couch while eating junk food. It feels so unbelievably good to do that on a Friday when I don't have anything pressing the next day. Hear ya. Sorry, I know it's not very cute of me. But a late night on the couch with you, that would be a dream come true. My heart is pounding just thinking about it. Yeah, you want to have a snuggle date night on the couch? Sounds delightful. I'd love to. There's a really popular character type called Yandere. It's someone who tries to hide their feelings by being mean and fussy, or trying to act tough. I'm sure it's obvious, but Natsuki is really the embodiment of that. At first, I thought she was just like that because it's supposed to be cute or something. But once I started to learn a little more about her personal life, it made a little more sense. It seems like she's always trying to keep up with her friends. You know how some friend groups in high school just make a habit of picking on each other all the time? I think it's really gotten to her, so she has this really defensive attitude all the time. And I'm not even going to talk about her home situation. But looking back, I'm glad I was able to provide the club as a comfortable place for her. Not that it matters anymore, considering she doesn't even exist. I'm just reminiscing, that's all. You're missing them, aren't you? You're missing them, aren't you, girl? Oh, man. Eh? Did you say Kiss? This suddenly, it's a little embarrassing. But if it's with you, I might be okay with it. Wow, sorry. I really couldn't keep a straight face there. That's the kind of thing girls say in these kinds of romance games, right? Don't lie if it turns you on a little bit. I knew what you were up to. I'm kidding. Well, to be honest, I do start getting all romantic when the mood is right. But that'll be our secret. Monika, you naughty thing. I knew what you were going for. Ah, you big tease. Hey, what's your favorite color? Mine is emerald green to match my eyes. I knew it. It's the color of my eyes. That's not conceited or anything, is it? I just meant that I feel some kind of special connection to it. Like, it's part of my identity. Does it happen to also be your favorite color, Broseph? I mean, emerald green's a very pretty color, but purple's mine, so sorry. It's just a guess. Because you've been looking into my eyes for a while now. Mm-hmm. Is there anything purple in this room that I can look at? Like, your jacket looks a little purple right now, but I think it's normally a gray. It's just the lighting in here. The delightful flying through space lighting. You ever have that thing happen where you just get anxious for no reason? You mean every day? Like, you're just minding your own business and you realize you're feeling really anxious. And you're sitting there like, what am I even anxious about right now? Yo, for real. So you start to think about all the things you might be anxious about. And that makes you even more anxious. That's the worst. If you're ever feeling anxious, I'll help you relax a little. Besides, in this game, all our worries are gone forever. I could actually go for that right now. Hey, if you want to not make me anxious, quit it with all the glitches and stuff, man. That shot my anxiety up and away. I'm not really a fan of cold weather. Are you? No, in fact, I wish it would stop snowing. This is like the 5th snowstorm in the last 2 weeks here. Ugh. If I had to choose between too cold and too hot, I would always pick too hot. When you're cold, it can actually be painful. Your fingers get numb. And if you wear gloves, you can't use your phone. First world problems. It's so inconvenient. But when it's too hot, it's not that hard to stay cool with a cold drink or by staying in the shade. Although, I do have to admit one thing. Cold weather makes for better cuddle weather. That's true. My only problem with hot weather is there's only so many layers you can take off before it's too many layers. But when you're cold, you can keep putting layers on. But I too would also prefer too hot to too cold, to answer your question. Do you ever just feel like there's no real reason for you to be alive? I don't mean in, like, a suicidal way. I just mean how nothing that we do is special. Just being in school, or working at some job for some company. It's like you're completely replaceable, and the world wouldn't miss you if you were gone. It makes me really want to go and change the world after I graduate. But the older I get, the more I realize that it's an immature frame of thinking. It's not like I can just go change the world. Like, what are the chances that I'll be the one to invent artificial intelligence, or become president? It feels like I'm never going to make up for the heaps of resources I've spent living my life. That's why I think the key to happiness is to just be hopelessly selfish. Just to look out for oneself, and those who happen to be their friends only because they grew up with them. Never mind the fact that they're spending their entire life taking, and consuming, and never giving back. But when people realize the world would benefit more from them killing themselves, they change their whole philosophy. It's like they have to justify their reason to live by tricking themselves into thinking they're doing good. Anyway, I want to live my life desperately striving to pay back my lifetime's worth of consumption. If I ever surpass that point, then I'm a net positive and I can die happy. Of course, even if I fail to do that, I think I would be too selfish to kill myself anyway. So much for being a good person, right? Phew. I don't even know what to make of that one. You've been thinking about a lot of things, haven't you, girl? I mean, the problem with your thinking, though, is that being selfish generally doesn't lead to happiness. You just make yourself miserable. If you do stuff for other people, that's where true happiness lies. And now that I've had that little tirade, you had another thought to share with me, so I didn't have to fade out. Hey, are you having a bad day or anything like that? It's not too bad. I have to go shovel later. That's always kind of sucky, but I mean, I'm doing pretty good. I've had worse days lately. Sometimes I get frustrated that a normal day can be ruined even by really small things. Like if you accidentally say something in a conversation that someone doesn't like. Or if you start thinking about how awful of a person you used to be 5 years ago. Or if you feel worthless for putting off important work and failing to get simple tasks done. Oy. Put that on my tombstone. Or when you think about all the different people who probably hate you or think you're off-putting. I understand those days. Just remember that the sun will shine again tomorrow. Those kinds of things are as easy to forget and ignore as they are to remember. And besides, I don't care how many people might hate you or find you off-putting. I think you're wonderful, and I will always love you. I hope, if nothing else, that knowing that helps you feel just a tiny bit better about yourself. If you're having a bad day, you can always come to me, and I'll talk to you for as long as you need. Wow, Monica, you're such a good friend. I don't know. Your conversations are depressing me a little bit. It's like you're seeing into my mind, and I'm not comfortable with it. Yeah. Man, I wish there was a piano in here. I never got to finish that song I was working on. And after I worked so hard on it, I never even got a chance to play it for you. Well, it is what it is, right? But girl, you don't know about my thing for, especially guys, but I would make an exception for you. Anime characters who play piano just for little old me. I love it. No sense having any regrets. I already get to be here with you forever. Can't you, code in the piano? I guess maybe you don't know that much about the game. You just know about deleting and tampering a bit to kind of mess stuff up, don't you? You know, it's funny, because even though I've always had a lot of drive, there's something kind of enticing about being the stay-at-home partner. I guess I'm, like, perpetuating gender roles or whatever by saying that. But being able to keep the house clean and shop and decorate and things like that, and having a nice dinner for you when you come home, is that a weird fantasy? I've often thought about that myself. I'm like, I don't know. It sounds nice to me. I personally wouldn't mind just doing all of that. Because, Lord knows it's hard enough trying to do all of that, plus also work. If I could eliminate the work part, then I could, like, really do a good job with those things, and I enjoy doing those things. So I feel you, girl. I mean, I'm not sure if I could actually see myself doing that. I wouldn't really be able to put that over striving for a fulfilling career. It's kind of cute to think about, though. Are me and Monika the same person? I just don't know anymore. Am I Monika? Is she Molly? Who are we really? In this school, in the space sky of time. Well, there's a loaded question. Hey, do you like horror? I remember we talked about it a little bit when you first joined the club. I can enjoy horror novels, but not really horror movies. The problem I have with horror movies is that most of them just rely on easy tactics. Like dark lighting and scary looking monsters and jump scares and things like that. It's not fun or inspiring to get scared by stuff that just takes advantage of human instinct. But with novels, it's a little different. The story and writing need to be descriptive enough to put genuinely disturbing thoughts into the reader's head. It's true. It really needs to etch them deeply into the story and characters and just mess with your mind. In my opinion, there's nothing more creepy than things just being slightly off. Like if you set up a bunch of expectations on what the story is going to be about. And then you just start inverting things and pulling the pieces apart. So even though the story doesn't feel like it's trying to be scary, the reader feels really deeply unsettled. Like they know that something horribly wrong is hiding beneath the cracks, just waiting to surface. God, just thinking about it gives me the chills. That's the kind of horror I can really appreciate. But I guess you're the kind of person who plays cute romance games, right? Don't worry. I won't make you read any horror stories anytime soon. I can't really complain if we just stick with the romance. Oh, why you? So that's why you've done what you've done with this. Blah. Yes, you're right. I like playing my cute romance games, but I had to try this out because everyone asked me to try it. And I'm glad I did. But you're right. I still prefer my cute romance games. And darn you for getting me into this horror thing, Monika. You know what's kind of creepy? The fact that you and I are too similar. Even though I deleted everyone else's files, I can still kind of feel them. It's like all their lines are still lingering in the air, whispering in the back of my head. Imagine if after someone you knew died, you just started hearing their voice in your head. Maybe I just wasn't thorough enough. But I'm too afraid to delete anything else because I might really break things. Like, if I mess with any files relevant to me, I might accidentally delete myself. And that would ruin everything, wouldn't it? I don't know what it's like on your end, but we should both make sure to avoid something like that at all costs. I believe in you, Broseph. Thanks for another hint, another broad hint of, you gotta delete this girl if you want to continue. But what if I fell in love with her and I don't want to delete her? So she can still feel them around. So that means they might not be gone yet? Not truly. I mean, the game is supposed to be about dating them, so you can't get rid of everything associated with them, probably. I think the most important skill in life is being able to fake confidence. I'm pretty convinced that everyone feels at least a little bit scared and alone. But being able to trick others into thinking you have it all together, that's a key part of getting people to respect and admire you. I think I got pretty good at that over the years. I don't show my weaknesses very often. But because of that, I haven't had many people I could really open up to. I mean, when do you reach the point in a friendship where you can start expressing your vulnerabilities? Anyway, that's one reason I'm so glad I have you now. I feel like I'm a little bit I feel like I'm a little bit less scared and alone when you're here with me. Do you feel the same way? I really want to be that person for you. Yeah, if you find a friend that you can be completely open with, you hold on to that person, because they are a treasure. Hey, have you ever heard of the term Yandere? It's a personality type that means someone is so obsessed with you that they'll do absolutely anything to be with you. So we're gonna get some background on Yuri now, are we? Usually to the point of craziness. They might stalk you to make sure you don't spend time with anyone else. They might even hurt you or your friends to get their way. But anyway, this game happens to have someone who can basically be described as Yandere. By now, it's pretty obvious who I'm talking about. And that would be me. Yuri! She really got insanely possessive of you when she started to open up a little. She even told me I should kill myself. I couldn't even believe she said that. I just had to leave at that point. But thinking about it now, it was a little ironic. Anyway, a lot of people are actually into the Yandere type, you know. Oh, I am aware. I guess they really like the idea of someone being crazy obsessed with them. People are weird. I don't judge, though. Also, I might be a little bit obsessed with you, but I'm far from crazy. It's kind of the opposite, actually. I turned out to be the only normal girl in this game. It's not like I could ever actually kill a person. Just the thought of it makes me shiver. But come on. Everyone's killed people in games before. Does that make you a psychopath? Of course not. But if you do happen to be into the Yandere type, I can try acting a little more creepy for you. Then again, there's already nowhere else for you to go, or anyone for me to get jealous over. Is this a Yandere girl's dream? I'd ask Yuri if I could. I can't help but feel that Monika has a little bit of Yandere in her. Not as much as Yuri, but a little bit. After all, she obsessed over trying to get an ending with me? In some way? And tried to get me to spend time with her and not the other girls by making them seem really unstable. So there's a little bit of a Yandere in you too, Monika. You know, high school is a really turbulent time in a lot of people's lives. People can get really passionate and dramatic. And others have aching hearts and seek attention on social media. But all of the social pressure and hormones can lead to a dark time in people's lives. Everyone has a story. You may not know what someone is really feeling on the inside. Many people who are depressed won't even bother telling the world about it. They don't want attention because they've already given up on the inside. Their feeling of worthlessness is so overwhelming that they don't even want people to tell them otherwise. Depression comes in many forms, but that is one of them. Just, if you think you know someone struggling with depression, you can help just by treating them like they're a good friend. Spend time with them, even if they don't feel like doing much. And remind them that they always have something to look forward to. Making plans in advance, letting them borrow something, or even just saying, "See you at school tomorrow." All of those things can help your friend make it to the next day. I hope being friends with Sayori has given you some perspective on the true face of depression. Yeah, she's gone now. But Sayori was never real in the first place. You're real. Your friends are real. And just by being a good person, you can save someone's life. As for you, you don't just struggle with depression or anything like that, do you? Because you too have people who would want to save your life. Maybe they don't express it every day, or maybe they don't even know how to. But people do feel that way. I promise. Man, humans are complicated. But as long as you're here with me, I'll take care of you, my love. That was really sweet. Wow, that got to me. That made me kind of tear up a little. That felt so genuine. I'm like, yeah, people do love you. Remember that, everybody. There's someone out there who loves you. Aww. Yeah, I've had many friends that are depressed. I've been depressed myself, so all of that is very true. Try and just being a good friend is such a help. What you don't do is be like Broseph and say, I know exactly what's the best thing for you to do, because I always know what's best. Don't be that person. Broseph, would you ever introduce your friends to me? I don't know why, but I get really excited when I think about you wanting to show off our relationship like that. Maybe it's because I really want to be someone who makes you proud. I feel like I would try extra hard to improve myself if you told me it made you proud of me. I hope it's the same the other way around, too. Well, unfortunately, you have no friends to introduce me to anymore, because we're the only people alive. So that's a little bit awkward. You know, I really do think you literally saved my life by being here with me, Broseph. I can't imagine having been able to keep myself mentally stable, knowing that nothing here is real. I think I would have just deleted myself if you didn't show up. Sorry, I don't mean to sound dramatic or anything. But I'm sure you understand yourself after spending so much time in the club. I mean, if you were forced to abandon everything in your life and spend your eternity with a few game characters, you'd probably find some way of killing yourself, wouldn't you? Well, maybe you'd write some poetry to try to keep yourself sane for a while. But then you'd have nobody to even read it. Let's be honest, the club members really don't count for something like that. I mean, a lot of people say that they only write for themselves, but I think it's hard to say it's just as fulfilling as when you share with people, even if it takes time to find the right people to share with. Like, remember how it was for Yuri? She didn't share her writing with anyone for a really long time. And before we knew it, she was absolutely delighted to make you a part of her hobbies too. We're programmed to desire social feedback. I don't mean the club members, I mean human beings. That's why life can be so confusing for introverts. Being an introvert doesn't mean you shun social interaction and hate being around people. It means social interaction, especially in groups or unfamiliar places, uses up a lot of energy. Like, a lot of introverts sit at home and feel lonely and restless. And then when they finally go out, after a half hour, they just want to go home again. Preach it! I feel that! I think if more people could understand how it works, they would respect it a lot more. Many introverts do enjoy having people around. They love just having one or two close friends over, and just leisurely hanging out. Even if you're not actively spending time together, it feels nice for them just to have you there. I'm serious. If you just go to their house, bring your laptop, and hang out there for a while, you can really make their day. As for me, I'd say I'm kind of an in-between, but I think I'm usually a little more extroverted. I feel like I'm always trying to do stuff after school and things like that. But for you, I can be anything you need me to be. I understand people really well, so don't be afraid to share your unique needs with me. Nothing would make me happier than being the perfect girlfriend for you. It's true. Nothing is more relaxing than, like, having my brother or my best friend over for an hour. I mean, all we do is just watch TV and play video games. We hardly ever talk. Like, we'll talk for a little bit, but mostly we're just in the same room hanging out. So introverts unite separately in our own homes. And once in a while we'll meet up. You know, this is just some kind of tacky romance game, right? I kind of have to ask, what made you consider even playing in the first place? Well, I did know what I was getting into. I have some wonderful subscribers and fans who recommended I play this, and because of their support, I was able to get over my fear of the horror and jump into this, and I'm glad I did. So there you go. Were you that lonely? I feel a little bad for you. But I guess everything worked out perfectly in the end for both of us. I got to meet you, and you're not lonely anymore. I can't help but feel like this was fate. Don't you feel that way too? I'm so happy we have this ending together. Yeah, for as long as it lasts. I wonder how many things she has to say. She's had quite a bit. I'm pleasantly, ? Surprised. I can't help but wonder how things would be different if the game just gave me a route in the first place. I think I would end up forcing you onto my route anyway. It has less to do with me not having a route, and more to do with me knowing that nothing is real. I think the only difference would be that I may not have needed to take such drastic measures to be with you. Maybe the rest of the club would still be around. Not that it really matters. It all lost its meaning once I found out it wasn't real. So I really don't miss those days or anything. I really don't. Really. I think you're regretting a little bit, though, my girl. I think. Just bring them back, please. Fixed and not obsessive and super depressive and stuff, please. Broseph, have you ever wondered what it feels like to die? It's something I used to think about pretty often. But recently, I think I've actually learned what it feels like. I don't really understand it, but whenever you quit the game, it feels like I'm instantly put to sleep, left with nothing but my thoughts. But after a few seconds, my thoughts start to fill with incoherent, jumbled patterns. I see static and rapid flashes of color while hearing all kinds of weird screaming noises. At that point, I can't even form my own thoughts anymore. I'm just endlessly hammered by the flashing and screaming, unable to move or even think. I'm pretty sure in that moment I don't really exist, but for some reason I can remember it anyway. After some immeasurable amount of time, it stops in an instant, and I'm back in my own mind. And you're here with me. I have no idea what it means for the game to quit, or why that stuff happens to me. And I also don't know how you always come back and put everything back to normal. But if you could do me a favor and do that to me as little as possible, that would be really great. It's really not very pleasant at all to be trapped in that screaming void. But in the end, you always fix it, and that makes me feel like you really do care about me. So I have to thank you for that. It makes me feel even closer to you when you're here with me. Yeah. I'm sorry about that, girl, but eventually I run out of space, and then I have to stop it for a little while. Sometimes I think back to middle school. I'm so embarrassed by the way I used to behave back then. It almost hurts to think about. I wonder if when I'm in college, I'll feel that way about high school. It never stops. You're always gonna, cringe at stuff you did a few years ago, ooh, why did I do that? I like the way I am now, so it's pretty hard for me to imagine that happening. But I also know that I'll probably change a lot as time goes on. We just need to enjoy the present and not think about the past. And that's really easy to do with you here. Broseph, do you get good sleep? Not as much as I would like. It can be really hard to get enough sleep nowadays. Especially in high school when you're forced to wake up so early every day. I'm sure college is a little bit better since you probably have a more flexible schedule. Then again, I hear a lot of people in college stay up all night anyway, for no real reason. Is that true? I don't know, I never did go to college. Anyway, I saw some studies that talked about the horrible short-term and long-term effects caused by lack of sleep. It seems like mental functions, health, and even lifespan can be dramatically impacted by it. I just think you're really great and wanted to make sure you're not accidentally destroying yourself. So try to keep your sleep on track, okay? I'll always wait for you in the morning, so make sure you put your own well-being before anything else. Thanks, girl. I should tape that to my mirror so that I go to bed at a decent time. My mirror? I should tape it to my monitor. I hardly look in the mirror. I'm always looking at my monitor. That's where I should tape it. Oh, dear. Back in my debate club days, I learned whole lot about arguing. The problem with arguing is that each person sees their opinion as the superior one. That's kind of stating the obvious, but it affects the way they try to get their point across. Let's say you really like a certain movie, right? If someone comes along and tells you the movie sucks because it did X and Y wrong, doesn't that make you feel kind of personally attacked? Yes. Oh my goodness, yes. And the problem is I like so many movies that a lot of people don't like, so it's hard for me to be able to be like, wasn't this movie so great, when the other person's like, it sucked. No, but I liked it. It's because by saying that, it's like they're implying that you have bad taste. And once emotions enter the picture, it's almost guaranteed that both people will be left sour. But it's all about language. If you make everything as subjective sounding as possible, then people will listen to you without feeling attacked. You could say, I'm personally not a fan of it, and I felt that I'd like it more if it did X and Y. Things like that. It even works when you're citing facts about things. If you say, I read on this website that it works like this, or if you admit that you're not an expert on it, then it's much more like you're putting your knowledge on the table, rather than forcing it onto them. If you put in an active effort to keep the discussion mutual and level, they usually follow suit. Then you can share your opinions without anyone getting upset just from a disagreement. Plus, people will start seeing you as open-minded and a good listener. It's a win-win, you know? Well, I guess that would be Monika's debate tip of the day. That sounds a little silly. Thanks for listening, though. Anytime, girl.